Everyone. My name is Shannon Brody, and we are going to get started right now. The first thing I'm going to do is just talk about how the next 45 minutes or so is going to go. I would just want to talk about myself a little bit and kind of explain to you why you should listen to me about process documentation and process documentation using AI. Then I'm going to go over what I call the three steps to building a process dependent business. Very simple and easy. We're going to talk a little bit about the first step. The second step is documentation. We're going to talk a lot about that, particularly around how to use AI tools to document your processes. And then we're going to end with the third step, which is implementation and management. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that depending on if we have time or not. There is another session like this that's going to occur in a couple weeks, and you'll all get information on that. And that is specifically about managing processes and implementing processes and training. Again, my name's Shannon Brody, and I would call myself a process expert. I've been doing this for over 25 years. Right out of business school, I went to work for Michael Gerber, which is, if you haven't heard of him, he's the guru. He wrote a book called The E-Myth, and it is 25 years ago, it was the book to read around systemization and creating a process dependent business. And I was so just intrigued by this whole philosophy that I went to work for him and was a part of the team that built the E-Myth Mastery Program. And most importantly, implemented the E-Myth Mastery Program with hundreds and hundreds of small businesses. During that time, again, that was 20 years ago, we flew around the country creating massive flow charts and three-ring binders, just a lot of paper. And it felt like important work at the time, and it was, and I think it did make a difference. The downfall of it all has to do with implementation. So three-ring binders are not a way to be able to use and manage your processes. And I think we all know in today's world that that paper system just doesn't work. So through my work around this and failures, honestly, with it came the birth of the TouchStone Business System. Some of you are TouchStone users and some of you are not. And what you're looking at now at your on your screen is the TouchStone system. We are going to be talking specifically about using AI tools, some of which are built into TouchStone. But as we discuss that, I'm going to be showing you the TouchStone system. The TouchStone system is all about the documenting and organizing and managing of your processes. You can do this without a system like TouchStone. You can do it in Google Docs and in Google Drive, in Word, in Excel. The problem with that is that you create a lot of chaos because your SOPs are all over the place. I think you're going to see through looking at the TouchStone system kind of what the benefits of it are. So let's talk about just these three simple steps for creating a process dependent business. People like to make this very complicated. And I think if you listen to a lot of process experts, there's all of these philosophies and disciplines and methodology for doing this. In all of my 25 years of experience, it really comes down to these three simple steps. First, you need to decide what needs to be documented. Process identification. Of all of the work that happens in your business, what needs to be documented? Because not everything needs to be documented. And I think this is a pitfall that a lot of people fall into. They identify hundreds of processes and then get overwhelmed by the task of documenting all of those. You get to the end of documenting those 100 processes, and then everything has changed, and you got to go back and do it again. Identifying what needs to be documented, number one. Number two is the documentation itself, and this is what we're going to be focusing on today. AI has opened up a whole new world for process documentation, making it much easier, simpler, faster, better. And then the third is the management of all of that, the training and the accountability. You can document processes all day long, but if you're not going to implement them and people aren't using them, then there's no point to all of that. You can spend thousands of dollars creating all of your SOPs just to have them fall apart because nobody's using them. I've got a lot of tried and true techniques for training and accountability and implementation. And again, this third step, we're going to talk more about extensively in another webinar that we'll have. Let's discuss process documentation just quickly, or process identification just quickly here, and then we're going to get into using AI to document. In the TouchStone system, we have this section over here called the 4 key functions. You can mimic this, in a Word document. The idea is that you create a list of everything that you want to document. So this list is in these 4 categories: strategy and management, marketing and sales, admin, finance, operations. It's kind of like taking your business as a whole and cutting it into 4 parts. This is just an outline. Then we have categories like management. And if I just collapse this, you'll see these 3 categories inside of this section. Think of categories, think of sub areas like we have here, and then list out processes. Again, this is just a big outline. If I click here, marketing and sales, and then I've got categories, social media, and then I've started to list out the processes. It's important to figure out what you're going to document first. If you just dive in and start scatter documenting, you're going to have issues because you will miss connections between processes. You'll have a hard time deciding where something starts and another thing ends. You'll have a hard time deciding what the audience for the process is because you haven't thought of the category. I mean, I could go on and on around the issues of not creating a map first. This is not that much work. It's pretty straightforward. There are a few handouts that I've put into the chat, and I'm just going to highlight one right here. This is what I call the 80-20 rule, which we've all heard about. The idea is that 20% of the processes you document do 80% of the work. So think about that as you're considering what your process identification, what you're going to document. This is just a category saying what you should document. So any work that happens in your business that's repeatable, that it's important, it has an impact, a quality impact, it's important for efficiency, it's important for compliance. So those essential things that have to do with the success of your business. Not everything needs to be documented. Focus on that top tier 20%. Anything that's high risk, payroll, safety checks, legal, customer data handling, anything that if something went wrong, it would be a big deal. Customer facing things, so sales calls, onboarding, complaints, these things that involve your customers and are essential to your customer service and your repeat business. Key role responsibilities, so high level positions, tasks that are that vary and are not standardized. Things like job quoting, again, have a financial impact. Training and onboarding, super important. You all understand the issue when you hire a new employee and you train them and then they leave. It costs you an incredible amount of money. New hires, vetting those new hires, bringing them on, training them efficiently. Anything that causes bottlenecks. So something is sold and then it goes to be delivered and then it's not sold correctly. Now we're trying to deliver something that has the wrong expectations met, and then it costs us 5 times to fulfill that customer because of all the confusion. And then we don't get the money to finance in time and they don't know how to pay people. These little bottlenecks that cause complaints between departments and also inefficiency. And then there's what do you absolutely not need to document? Common sense things. Things that are a clear step by step, like restarting your computer or answering the phone. Maybe what you say is important, but how to answer the phone, not that important. Ultra simple office things, one-off or rare events. Things that aren't consistently happening over and over, things that are variable. I often say that if you focus on what's consistent and you systematize that, that leaves your people in a much better place to deal with what's variable, right? Because they're not running around worrying around the basics. They know how to do the basics. Now they're prepared kind of to handle all the variable or if-thens or the different things that come up that they may not be prepared for. They're not struggling with the basics. They can do what's more difficult. Things around your culture or cultural expectations like being respectful or being having a positive attitude, saying hello. Don't hire people who don't know this. Don't hire them. Anything around tools or instructions, stuff that like Zoom or even Scribe and Loom, which I'm going to show you today, they have tutorials. All you need to do is be able to have a place where you're pointing your people at those tutorials. And then lastly, here's a quick test. If you can't figure it out, then think about this. How often is it done often enough to matter? So does it happen all the time? Would mistakes cost you money, time, reputation? Does the process support scaling or training new hires? We all want to scale effectively, right? I document the processes that are essential for that. Also, think about minimum qualifications of your employees. And this goes back to things people should know. If you are hiring a bookkeeper, say, and you don't want to train them how to be a bookkeeper, you're going to hire them because they've got a degree in that and they have X number of years of experience. You're hiring them because of that. Well, you don't need intricate bookkeeping processes on how to work QuickBooks, right? You've hired that. That's the minimum qualifications. Think about the minimum qualifications of every position in your company and then document from that point forward. Okay, so that's process identification. I'm going to go to our dashboard here. The dashboard in TouchStone is where processes are used. I just want you to understand the difference between what I'm going to show you here and then where we might go to build a process. Here on the dashboard, I'm going to go to a few processes here. I'm the office manager in this situation. And when I click my position on the dashboard, I see all these categories, this is the work that I do. And if I just expand these, you'll see the processes that I'm responsible for as the office manager. That's all this is. All of these processes came from this 4 key functions list over here. I'm just pointing this out. If you're going to do this on your own and sketch this out on a piece of paper, your processes are listed and then they're assigned to a position like office manager. So of all the processes that are over here, they're assigned to a role like office manager. In TouchStone, we actually have this awesome tool called an organization chart. And so we take the processes from here and we assign them to these roles. Every position gets assigned the processes that they're responsible for. I'm just going to go back here now and back to Office Manager. There are 3 AI tools that I love. There are plenty more out there, but these 3, and I've done a lot of studying and research on this over the last year since the inception of ChatGPT and before that. The 3 that I love are ChatGPT, obviously, Scribe, and Loom. Everyone should know what ChatGPT is. How it is good for SOP documentation is that it takes information that is widely known and there's plenty of knowledge about it, and it can build it into an SOP. Inside of TouchStone, which I'm going to show you, we have built in ChatGPT into the system itself. You can simply say, create me an SOP for this, and then it downloads it right into the system for you. The GPT that's been built into TouchStone, the ChatGPT, has been already programmed to create an SOP in a certain format. So you have the benefit of what we call a GPT. It's already built into TouchStone for you. If you don't have a TouchStone account, no worries. You can use the standard ChatGPT, which looks like this. The second tool is Scribe. And Scribe is a screenshot capture tool. When you're documenting an SOP that has to do with screen capture shots, then Scribe is a fantastic tool for that. Scribe is also built into TouchStone. I'm going to show you it independently and also how it is linked inside of TouchStone. And then we have Loom. And Loom is a video capture tool, which is pretty fantastic. The second handout that I'd given you, and I'm just going to use this to talk about ChatGPT, Scribe, and Loom. We're just going to go through a little bit more detail on what each of these AI tools are and then what they're good for. And then we're going to get back into TouchStone and I'm going to show you how they actually work. The first is ChatGPT. This is great for text-based SOPs and policies. Things that are general knowledge, standardized, written instructions, things that thousands of other businesses in your industry need to have and do. It can scan a wide knowledge base and come back with some general principles around that SOP. Think about general business practices, onboarding, payroll steps, meeting procedures, software how-tos. It's great for this, especially widely known software. I've seen it do really well with industry-specific software as well. You'd be surprised at, how it can dive into a particular software tool that may not be used as much as you would think it is, and it would still be able to call information from it. Anything around policies and compliance documents, great for that. It related to specific industries, customer service things like handling complaints, email responses, FAQs, anything that needs like a checklist or a template when it's used. It's great because it's pulling this vast knowledge base for common practices. It creates polished, kind of step-by-step written instructions. There's a format, the way it does it in TouchStone, which I think is fantastic, where it's grouping the key steps of a process and then putting in bullets for more details. It creates great processes that are in a common language if you ask it to. It can go overboard and start making things very complicated, but as it's built in TouchStone, it's pulling it, it's been programmed again to like make a simple structure. Scribe. Scribe is its own software entity and it's embedded into TouchStone. So it's its own system, it's its own software company, but we have it a way for the scribes to appear inside of TouchStone. Scribe is a visual screenshot capture tool. It's great for click by click things. So showing how to navigate something like a CRM. So you click here, then you click here, then you click here. It's great for like completing forms or using an HR portal or filling out timesheets. Anything where it's very step-by-step heavy, but it's simple and repeatable. It's not stuff that needs a lot of explanation, verbal explanation. There's not a lot of if-thens to it. It's just click here, do this, do that. It generates these auto screen captures, and then it will intuitively guess with its AI what you're doing. If I go and open something, it's going to know since I clicked there, it's going to write click here, then do this. It's not always right, but you can then edit it once it creates this kind of capturing of your actions. For is if you have to explain something as it's done. If it's clear what you do, it's great for that. But if you have to explain it in any kind of detail, or there's a variance that goes off in a different direction because something happens here, something happens there, it's not great for that because it's focused more on the screen captures. The next tool is Loom. Where Scribe falls apart, Loom kind of picks it all up. So any process, Loom is a video-based capture tool. It literally will be taking a video of what you're saying and doing, as well as capturing the pictures of what you're clicking on and what you're going through. Loom is great when you have to explain the process with context. It's great for training walkthroughs when you have to show the why of something. It's great for customer-facing demos and product tutorials and things that you have to, again, explain in more detail. Complex workflows where there's like judgments involved and you have to say, well, if this happens, then do this, and if that happens, then do that. It captures kind of the tone and the pace and the decision making of things. And it's very, it's very fast. And then we have this category, the manual SOPs when AI won't work. AI is not going to work for everything. In fact, AI works, I would say, to give you a basic, and you've got to go in and edit it and kind of make it your own. But then there are some things where you just got to do it yourself. Some examples are like specialized workflows, unique internal processes, things that are very judgment based. So this goes through and talks about each of the main tools, and then also just my opinion on manual SOPs and when you're going to need those. All right. So this process right here, it's called end of the day. And this is a process that was built with ChatGPT, and I just want to show it to you. This is an example of this is a pretty common thing, right? Everybody's got to shut down at the end of the day, and whatever industry you're in is what your version of that is. This is a process that's been built through TouchStone using ChatGPT. It structures it in this category kind of driven format. So shut down all the computers and then bullet points on how to do that. Organize and secure the workspace and then bullet points on that. You can see the structure to it is very clear and simple. It's kind of identifying the key steps and then it's giving like, the details of how to do that. That's a chat GPT process. I'm just going to go back here. Um, this is also a chat GPT process. I'll just show you one more. End of the quarter checklist. This is a checklist that's been built in TouchStone because TouchStone also has chat GPT that's been built in to create checklists as well. This is a kind of a standard checklist that would happen at the end of the quarter for a customer support position. So you may be thinking to yourself, we need an SOP for quality control around customer support. And if you had to sit there and think to yourself, what are all the ways that quality support falls apart? And how do I need to know what to look at? And how do we know what's working and not working? You could come up with it all on your own, but using ChatGPT, you can see this is like it identifies things that you might not have thought of, and it gives you a way to kind of decide what are the hot spots for customer support in your industry, and then what are the things that you want to review and go through, on a quarterly audit basis. And then it automatically builds it for you. Let's go back. Now I'm going to show you a process, a scribe process. This is appointment management. This is a process on how to schedule and manage appointments. We have 3 workflows in here: scheduling appointments, canceling appointments, confirmations, and then there's a script down here on an appointment script. These are the tools of the process. And then this is what Scribe looks like inside of TouchStone. Scribe again is this screenshot capture tool. Just scroll down. This is made with the free version of Scribe. There are tiered versions of Scribe, but to use Scribe in TouchStone and to use Scribe, I think just in general, the free version works pretty well. And that's why it's got this little made with Scribe here. I think if you purchase Scribe, that would go away. You can see it's showing navigate here, and then it's showing you a screenshot. And then it's saying click appointment schedule, and then it's showing you a picture of that. Then that should have been edited, but click this field, and then it's showing you here. So you can see, I mean, it's pretty cool because you'll see me create one here in a minute, and it's just click, 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 boom, the whole thing's down. But there's not a whole lot of room here for the if-thens of it. Like if you can't find an appointment at 9 o'clock, then go and call your manager and ask them if they're free. And you see what I mean? There's like this if-thens of it that aren't captured here. This is very screenshot driven, and this whole tool is inside of TouchStone now. Okay, let's go back one more time here. And now I'm going to show you a loom process here. This was a process that was created in Loom from a video. The video is recorded, and again, we're going to do this here in a second. And then through Loom, you can create this step by step out of the video. This is where Loom really shines. You can see the details of each of these steps. It's capturing the screenshot, and then it's going into each of these clear bullet pointed steps on what to do. This is at the end of the day, kind of what a Loom SOP can look like. Okay. I'm going to go into the four key functions here, and we're going to go to a few processes, and I'm going to show you how to create a ChatGPT process, a scribe, and a Loom. This is where my process lists are, and inside of TouchStone, when you click a process like this one, end of day, it then takes you to where you create the documentation. For those of you who don't have TouchStone, all you need to know about this is how we structure a process. We're like in the area where the process is created, where it is edited, where it's built. We have all of these tools here that you can use to document a process with. And these are, if you don't have a TouchStone account, remember these templates because every process isn't just necessarily a step-by-step set of tasks. It also could use a checklist or a script. It could have a file or a form in it. It could have a policy related to it. It could have a video uploaded. That's what all these tools are. I'm just going to make another work plan here. And let's call this again end of day in a service business. Okay, I'm going to create this work plan. Now, right inside of TouchStone, this is ChatGPT. I would go to ChatGPT right inside of TouchStone. If you don't have TouchStone, you would go here to ChatGPT, kind of same idea, except for this is built in. And then here, it's already programmed to create a step-by-step. I'm going to say step-by-step for end of day in a service business. Just like in ChatGPT, the more detailed you are with the prompt, the better the results are. In TouchStone, again, this has been programmed already to create this structured SOP like I showed you before with like categories and then kind of the detailed bulleted steps inside of each of the categories. Once you view it, and the same thing would happen if you were directly in ChatGPT, you'd want to look at it and say, is this on track? Is this kind of close to what I would need as a starting place? This is never going to be perfect the way it is now. I mean, I'm sure someone could prove me wrong, but for the most part, it's going to be a draft that you need to go in and edit and change. If you don't like it, then you'd go back to the prompt and put in more details, put in the type of business, put in more details about what you're looking for. If you don't have a cash register, we'll then go in and refine the prompt. If you do like it, all you do is click add to work plan. And then just like that, it's built into TouchStone. If you build it in ChatGPT, then you need to download that and start building file structures, on your computer. So just like we have the four key functions list here, you'd probably want to do a file folders that have the names of the departments or the categories in your business. You'd list out the processes, and then you'd start uploading these documents to Word files, I would guess, um, inside of your computer structure system, or you could upload them to Google Drive, or you could put them in Dropbox, or you could build them and then email them to the person who's accountable for them. But that gets really confusing, right? Suddenly you've got all these documents and file folders and emails all over the place with these processes in them. And using ChatGPT, I'm just making a case for TouchStone here, if you can sense the sarcasm. We call that SOP chaos. If you use ChatGPT, you're going to get excited about this, and there's going to be so much documentation that you create. And the more you create, the more confusing it's going to get. Be mindful of that. If you don't have Touchstone, be mindful of that, like what it is that you're finalizing and saying, okay, we're going to start to edit and use this. Once this is in Touchstone, and you do the same thing if it was in a Word doc. You could just click it here, and then you can edit and change this and add more to it. You could put in screenshots. You could go down here to the bottom and add another task. You could add some expectations to it. We also have ChatGPT built into the checklist tool. So we'll call this end of day and hit create checklist. I could have started off by using the GPT here to create a checklist for myself, and then it would just create the checklist directly inside a Touchstone. Or another way to do it is to go to a work plan, and then with this one little click, I can create a checklist. So now you see it's been built. It built that work plan that we created with the AI. It built it directly into a checklist. Checklists are great for training purposes. They're great for verification, and they can all be completed and touched on at least here on the dashboard. All right, so that is ChatGPT in this example. I'm just going to go back here to another one. Let's create a scribe. Let's create a scribe for appointment management, say. Let's say we want to build a scribe for scheduling an appointment. I'm going to click here. This S, if you have Touchstone, is where you go to embed your scribe. You can also go here to create a free account if you don't have one. I'm going to click here and then go to scribe. It's opening it now. Oh. Let's do it a different way. Scribe is also, once you sign up for an account, you get an extension, a Chrome extension. I've also got the Loom Chrome extension here as well. Once you've signed up for the free Scribe account, if you click this extension while you're inside of whatever software that you're going to start to create these screen captures of, it's going to pop up here to the side. I'm going to go to our CRM. And I'm going to just go through a walkthrough of when you might use a scribe. This is Infusionsoft. This is CRM that we use. It's logging in right now. If I wanted to demonstrate how to schedule an appointment or how to edit a calendar invite, anything that I'm starting to demo based on this process that I'm on, I would go here to start capture. And now Scribe is going to launch itself. Now it's capturing my computer screen. So I would go here to contacts, and you see then I hit view contacts, and you see it capturing it here right to the left-hand side. So everything that I'm clicking on. So then if I want to create a new contact, I'd click here, type in my name. Every little click and step that I'm doing, it's capturing it here, right to the right-hand side. I can click here and go general. Literally, when you're doing this, you want to start at the beginning and then click through the different steps to the end. So when you're in Touchstone, you've got a name of a process and you've got an objective, which is the purpose of this process. It's important to think of those two things because then you can start to consider where does this start and where does it end. We're going to create a step-by-step for how to add a contact. The first thing I do is log in. Then I'm going to go click view contacts. Then I'm going to go to here's add contact. That would have been the right next step. And then this is going to open. And again, it's capturing it as I go through. It's intuitively guessing what I'm doing, and you can see the verbiage right here as it clicks through. Once I go from the beginning to the end, I just hit create capture. Now it's saving itself. And once it saves, you can then edit it. There it appears. Here's the step by step. It starts off in edit mode, and then I can go through if this navigation isn't right, I could change this URL. It says click contacts. I could go down to view contacts. If this was not right, I just click here and say I wanted it to go to add instead of view. I'm just changing the text. Click this field. If you click this, you can delete the whole this picture if it doesn't work for whatever reason. Instead of type in this, you'd say type in name maybe. There are little edits that you're going to need to make along the way. You could add more to this if you want. Type name, you could say if this, then that. But it's somewhat limited in what it will do in this field, but you can go into more detail about what's happening in this screen capture. Once you're done with this, if you have TouchStone, all you would do is go here to share, and you would go to this embed. You could choose if you wanted to view as slides moving back and forth. You could make it a movie. Scrolls, my favorite because it's better for training because you're going from one screen to the next. Then you just copy this embed code, super easy. Then you go back here. I'm going to go to this one just so we get something that's blank. You go to the scribe icon. All you're doing is pasting the embed code in there and you hit save. And now it's built into TouchStone for you. A system like TouchStone is fantastic because it's taking this AI generated content and it's allowing me to put it somewhere, um, put it under the process title. And then it's also allowing me to assign it to a position on our org chart here. And then a person logs in and views it and uses it over here on the dashboard. Again, if you're doing this manually, take these scribes and put links to them, I think, inside of your process title that you're putting in Google Docs or Word. If you just keep them all in Scribe, you're going to have this massive Scribe library. And when you get a new employee coming on board and you're saying, okay, I want to teach them how to schedule appointments, it's going to be a little hard for them because you're going to have to say, okay, we're going to log into Scribe or click this link somewhere and then go to the Scribe how to. Not impossible, just a little more difficult than it is when you're embedding it into a system like TouchStone. So that's Scribe. Again, Scribe is fantastic for this screen-driven, step-by-step kind of capture SOPs that are guiding somebody from one clear thing to another. Next, let's talk about Loom. Loom's my favorite. I like Scribe too. It just depends on the type of process, but Loom is like, it's very dynamic. I think it creates excellent training. We're going to do a Loom for this called new employee onboarding. This is a process, new employee onboarding. This is what I meant by in Touchstone. You can have a clear process title and then you have the objective of the process. Mimic this if you're doing this, in Google Docs or in another format. Prepare for a new employee, ensuring all employees' first set of experiences with the company. This helps you decide, what is the purpose of this? Let's create a Loom for new employee onboarding. I'm going to do this demonstrating TouchStone doing new employee onboarding. The same thing, I'm going to go to my Loom extension. I click Loom. Now it's literally going to hopefully launch Loom. There it goes. Any screen that you're on, it's going to start on that screen. You can put a picture of yourself here in the recording. I have the camera off right now, but a picture of you could appear right here if you're doing something where you want to make it friendly, like somebody's explaining it. But this is more of a step-by-step on how to onboard a new employee for a manager or for an HR position. I would just hit start recording. Now it's recording my screen. I have to choose what screen I want it to start on because I have two monitors. That's all this is about. Then I just hit share. Now it's going to give me a countdown. Now I would speak into it like I'm creating a step-by-step for this. When you're hiring a new employee, you want to go to the hiring process in TouchStone, click on your position, go to the new employee onboarding process. If you can't remember how to do onboarding, you can look at the work plan here to remind yourself of what to do. You can go here to the script for new employee onboarding if you've got FAQs or questions about that get asked by the employee. You click the script and you can say when they ask for a raise after 6 months, here's the script. Then for the new employee, go directly to the new employee preparations form, click that. Save this as the new employee's name. Go and fill out all the information, making sure that you've provided the new employee with the welcome letter, with their position description, with all the company name and contacts. You've given them their parking pass. So go through and click all of these as a sign that you've given the employee all of this information, and then hit save. Then go to TouchStone and make sure you assign the new employee all of their onboarding public processes, which are all here. This is a series of processes that every new employee needs to have access to, needs to read, needs to study. Go to TouchStone and hit assign. Choose the new employee's name, Sam, he's the new employee, and then assign all of the public processes. Give it a reasonable due date, usually a week. Send him a notification. Put in some notes on what you want him to do when he receives the notification to read and study all the processes, if that's important, and then you hit assign. Okay, so once the onboarding would probably go on more than that, but once you're finished with this onboarding conversation, because it was kind of like a conversation, right? I'm showing you clicking this. You may go into HR software and say, do this and this. When you're finished, you hit this little finished button. And then Loom collects the video. Once we're here, there's a couple ways you can do this. One is I can go here to transcript, which is right here. And this is a complete transcript of everything that I've said. It's all outlined right here. Now, I wasn't talking perfectly. You see this, it says, now, would you speak into this? I'm creating it. There was a lot of extra words going on. This doesn't make a good step by step the way it is now. But what you could do is you could copy this and then you could go to ChatGPT and you could say, create a step by step out of this. And then you literally just paste it in there and you hit this little arrow. You could give it more detail, like this is onboarding for XYZ type of company, and you see what it's doing? It's taking everything that's been said here. It's getting rid of the ifs and the buts and everything that I said, even the explanation that I was giving to you that wasn't a part of the onboarding. And it's creating this into this pretty cool step by step. Once it's been built like this through ChatGPT, you could copy this and you could go back to TouchStone and back to that onboarding process. So we're going to go back here to onboarding. And I could go here to this work plan And if I wanted to, I could just paste this directly in here. And there's this step by step. I'd want to get rid of this piece. I'd probably get rid of this title and put it up into this title. But here, it's in TouchStone. Then I could go down here to the video tool and this has already been uploaded for you, but I just drag and drop the Loom video into this field, and then there's the training video is there as well. Another way you could go about this in Loom, let's go back here to Loom. And this is the upgraded version of Loom. This isn't the free version. You'd have to, I don't know how much more the upgraded version of Loom is. But here, there's a tool that's called Create SOP. I think I pay like 10 bucks more a month for this. Not hard. Not a ton of money. I just go here to Create SOP, and now it's taking this whole Loom video, and it's essentially doing the same thing that it did in ChatGPT, but it's giving me the screenshots too. So you see that? It's giving me the step by step, also the screenshots. So then I could hit copy on this. And then again, if I go to TouchStone, and let's just add a second task here. And then I can paste this in and hit save. And now you see it's all built into TouchStone. I could even go here and hit these images and kind of make them, and make them a little bigger if I wanted to. Hit here, make it a little bigger. This is probably not perfect the way that it's pulled it out of the Loom video. So you might want to go in and edit and kind of change and add things to it. It's not going to be perfect, but it's pretty darn fast, right? And then I just save that, and here it is inside of TouchStone. Now, if I have an HR person who I want to teach on how to do new employee onboarding, because we all know how important it is to onboard employees correctly, this is now linked to the position on the org chart here, where who is responsible for onboarding, the office manager. And then when that person logs in, all they do is go here, and when they click this onboarding process, they're going to then see this step by step on onboarding, just like that. I could even go here to the dashboard and assign it to my HR person and say, hey, I just created this great video on employee onboarding. Would you review it? And then let's talk about it in the meeting, and then complete it once you've studied it and you're ready to discuss it. So your version of this is again some of the fabulousness of TouchStone, but your version of this could be manual, definitely. The idea is that you create these videos, and with a few clicks, it turns it into an SOP, but then you need a way of assigning that to an employee and allowing them to be able to access it whenever they need it. And when they forget, you can say, go here to find it and follow the process. You can also, again, take the Loom video, and if you have TouchStone, you can upload it to TouchStone, so it's outside of Loom and it's living in TouchStone now. If you don't have TouchStone, you can also copy the link to the video and then paste that in your Word doc, which is referring to the onboarding. Another cool thing about Loom, and I'll go here to my library just to show you. If you have an employee who knows how to do something like that, knowledge is in their head, and you want to create a process out of what they know, but for whatever reason, they're too busy to document it for you. You just can't get them to do it in an efficient way. You want to do it yourself, but you need information from them. You can fire up a Loom and interview that person. And I think I have an example somewhere here. So sit with that person and interview them. And let's see, maybe I don't have an example. So what that looks like is you sitting with the person in front of their computer, you're talking to them and saying, okay, explain to me about onboarding. Loom is fired up and you're recording everything that's happening and you're interviewing them. What's the first thing that happens? What's the second thing? What's the third thing? And then you stop the loom when it's finished and then you create the SOP out of it. This is also could be an effective way of getting information from employees who have that knowledge and using Loom to capture that and build an SOP out of it. These three tools, I think, just even if you're not that computer literate, I think that they're pretty easy to use. It just takes some practice. So start if you're new to this, if you have the goal of building a process dependent business, systematizing your business, remember the three steps. Remember the first step, process identification. What needs to be documented? Then document it with AI, and then think about how you're going to manage it. Make a list, come up with your version of the four key functions over here. Remember the 80-20 rule? Think of the top 20%. This is, again, I just want to repeat, this is a place where people fall apart because they overdo it. They come up with hundreds of processes rather than, maybe 75. This is kind of a long list here. Also, this is a cool technique if you haven't thought about it. Any processes that you want AI to be doing, executive briefing, investor update, anything that you can build a GPT for, or you have another AI tool that's making it more efficient, create that on your process list. Even if it's something you know you can do in the future, maybe you haven't figured out how to do it, like staff scheduling, but you know there's an AI that can do that, or you know you can create a GPT to do it, then I put that process in on your process list and then put little dash AI next to it. I don't believe that AI, at least in the next 10 years, is going to take over the world and no one's going to have a job. What I do think is going to happen is that AI is going to be making certain types of employees, positions, even industries, way more efficient than it was before. Rather than having four customer support positions, maybe you need one who is using 90% AI, using AI tools to be more efficient. Start thinking about what your version of that is for your business, for your industry. What kind of AI tools can you use to make your business more efficient? That's a side note on AI, on AI tools. If you're interested in TouchStone, if you don't have a TouchStone account, this is our website, businessdesigncorp.com. We offer 30-day free trials, which anybody can get. Along with your 30-day free trial, you get onboarding, you get training, all free, included with your subscription. Come here, you can schedule a demo where someone will take you through, a step by step on what TouchStone is and kind of explain it to you more, or you can just go right here and try it for free. We at Business Design Corp, we're all process experts, and we believe that training is the most important thing that we do for our users. All of our training is free. We hold your hand through the whole process from beginning to end. We have tools and techniques. We've been doing this for a long time. If you have a TouchStone account and you want to learn more about documenting with AI, we will literally have someone sit with you and do it with you and for you. If you're more interested in this, how do I interview people using Loom and then turn that into an SOP? We will fully show you how to do that and or do it for you because we have team members who that's what they do all day long. So give us a try if you don't have a TouchStone account. Everyone's going to be getting a recording of this session as well as a link to our website if you want to have a demo or you want to try TouchStone for free. Also, in 2 weeks, I believe, there's going to be another webinar like this where I'm going to be focusing on the third step, which is process management, which is super important. All of this has to be for a reason, and the reason is employees, well, the processes won't be successful unless people are using them. Getting your employees to use them is really important. The tools in TouchStone help with that, but I'm going to be talking in that session about what a manager's role is in that, how managers are essential in the implementation and the success of processes in a business, how to get your employees excited about using processes, how to insist that they use them without scaring people. All of this information is really essential to keeping your process dependent business once you spend all the effort and time documenting. Before I let y'all go, are there any questions that people have?
Yeah, hey Shannon, there is. If you
Okay.
scroll up in the chat box, up around 10:35, there's a lot of content in the chat box. William has a question. Let me know if you can see that because you should probably see it and read it. It's a big question. Do you see that? Does Touchstone have the capability to automatically pull job specific requirements? Are you seeing that in the chat box?
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm going to start at the top. Let's see. Oh,
I've been monitoring it
okay.
pretty
Did
quickly.
everybody
So
get the documents that I
yeah,
emailed?
I
Yep.
listed, I put them in again
Okay,
when
cool.
people started saying they couldn't find them. I did put them in
Okay,
again. Yeah.
awesome. Um, I'm trying to find your question, William. Hold on a second.
It's 10:35 is and you'll see William, big
There we
W
go.
there. Yeah.
Does Touchstone have the capability to automatically pull job-specific requirements in construction? And are they- Um, so yeah, there's one key way that we do that. So over here in the four key functions, we have libraries of processes. Right here, so again, this is the four key functions. This is where all the processes are listed. And when you click a process from here, this is where you document them. Right here, we have a library, and we have a construction specific library. All that's in this demo account is our general process library. Right here, I'm looking at a list of pre-built processes. That's what this is. The ones that are grayed out are already inside my system. That's why they're grayed out. Through these libraries, we give you what we believe are the top 50 processes every business needs. Organized by category, you have management, strategy, and managerial processes that are in the library. You have marketing and sales processes that are in the library. You have administration and finance, IT, human resource processes that are in this library. And then we have operations. It's pretty understood that most businesses and most industries need these three areas here. And the processes are pretty boilerplate, or can be, for these three areas. Every business needs to manage and needs strategy. Every business needs to sell, generate leads. Every business needs administrative, finance, HR. When we get here is where it gets industry specific. So in the library, our general process library here in operations, you'll find some things, but we do again have these industry specific libraries, and I know we have one for construction. At a minimum, what that'll give you is the top 20 SOPs that most construction companies need. And you'll be able to go to the library here, go to that library once we link it inside of your account, and you can download those processes. Um, did that answer your question? Let me just look through it again. Yeah, things like change orders, timesheets. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'll give you a what if on that. If you are in operations and you're thinking, what processes do I need in my construction company? You'd be able to go to the library here and download those processes. Then you could go to them like cleanup and you click it, and there may be built-in documentation, but even if there's not, you would just go here to the work plan and you'd build clean up the job site, and you hit create work plan, and then you go to our AI right here. and you say, create me, you're basically saying, create me an SOP for how to clean a job site in a residential remodel construction company. Type all that in, hit go, and just like I showed you before, it's going to come up with a step-by-step for you. And then you can go in and edit and change it. So even if the process hasn't been fully built for you that you download from our library, within a matter of minutes, you can go here and create an example using the AI. Is there anything else, Michael?
I think that's it, Shannon. I've pretty much been answering questions as we go. Someone asked if this is going to be recorded, and the answer is yes, I'll send it out, but it does take a while for it to publish. Also, the webinar that you are the next webinar on how to make sure SOPs are implemented. It's actually December 11th, so it's more than a couple of weeks, but everybody will get an invite to that. I think that's it, unless anybody else has a question that they want to raise their hand or type it into chat.
I just want to give another plug in for the next webinar. It's like in all of my career, this is like one of my biggest passions. Documenting processes I love, but managing them and getting people to use them is something I'm really good at. And TouchStone is really good at it. It takes some mind shift from one of managers are there to just tell people what to do to managers are there to manage processes. They're there to get results through with processes through people. Once you make that shift, everything changes and the processes become the most essential tool that your managers have. If you're interested in more of that, like Michael said, you'll get an invite for it. Thanks for coming,
Bye.
everybody.